Imagine a world where your past doesn't control your present, where sudden bursts of fear and anger don't derail your day. This is possible, but first we need to understand the invisible force that's holding us back: our triggers. You're scrolling through social media feeling fine when suddenly a post sends you spiraling into self-doubt and despair. Or you're in a meeting, and a colleague's innocent comment ignites a firestorm of anxiety within you. These are triggers in action, and they're more powerful than you might think. Triggers are like emotional landmines hidden in the landscape of our daily lives. They're remnants of past traumas, waiting to explode at the slightest touch. But here's the catch: most of us don't even realize we're walking through a minefield. So why should you care about triggers? Because they're robbing you of your peace, your potential, and your power to shape your own life. They're the invisible puppet masters, pulling your strings without your consent. But what if you could cut those strings? What if you could diffuse those emotional bombs before they detonate? That's what we're here to explore today. Let's start by understanding what a trigger really is. It's not just an overreaction or a bad mood. A trigger is a present-day situation that tricks your brain into reliving a past trauma. Your logical mind might know you're safe, but your emotional brain is sounding the alarm like it's life or death. Think of it like this: your past traumas are like puzzles with missing pieces. Your brain is constantly scanning your environment, looking for anything that might fit those gaps. When it finds a match, boom, you're triggered. But here's where it gets tricky. The trigger doesn't have to be an exact replica of your past trauma. It just needs to rhyme with it emotionally. This is why triggers can seem so random and unpredictable to the outside observer. Let's look at an example. Say you find yourself irrationally angry every time your partner is late. On the surface, it might seem like you're just impatient, but dig deeper and you might discover that as a child, you were often left waiting for hours by unreliable parents. Your adult brain knows your partner isn't abandoning you, but your inner child is reliving that old fear and pain. This is the cruel irony of triggers. They're trying to protect us from past dangers, but in doing so, they're creating new problems in the present. They're like an overprotective guard dog that attacks the mailman. The intention is good, but the execution is all wrong. So how do we start to disarm these emotional landmines? The first step is awareness. Start paying attention to your reactions. When do you feel suddenly overwhelmed by emotion? What situations make you want to lash out or retreat? These are clues to your triggers. But awareness alone isn't enough. We need to become emotional detectives, tracing our triggers back to their source. This isn't about blaming our past or wallowing in old wounds. It's about understanding the root cause so we can address it head-on. Here's a powerful exercise. The next time you're triggered, ask yourself, what does my fear of what will happen tell me about what did happen? This simple question can unlock profound insights about your past and how it's shaping your present. Now, let's talk about why triggers are so persistent. It's not just that they're powerful, it's that part of us actually seeks them out. Sounds crazy, right? But think about it. If you grew up in chaos, calm might feel unsettling. If you're used to criticism, praise might make you uncomfortable. This is why we sometimes find ourselves in the same toxic situations over and over. Our triggers feel familiar, and on some level, familiarity feels safe, even if it's actually harmful. Breaking this cycle requires conscious effort and a willingness to step into the unknown. But here's the good news. Every time you face a trigger with awareness, you're rewiring your brain. You're teaching your nervous system that the past is not the present. It's like building a new neural pathway, one that leads to emotional freedom instead of knee-jerk reactions. Now let's dive deeper into the mechanics of how triggers work. When you're triggered, your brain goes into fight, flight, or freeze mode. This is great if you're facing a real threat, but not so helpful when you're just trying to have a normal day at work or with your partner. In this triggered state, your ability to think rationally is compromised. You lose the power of discrimination, the ability to tell the difference between a real threat and a perceived one. This is why triggered reactions often seem so out of proportion to the situation at hand. Imagine you're wearing glasses that distort everything you see. That's what being triggered does to your perception. A mildly critical comment becomes a devastating personal attack. A moment of silence from your partner becomes proof they're planning to leave you. Your brain is jumping to worst-case scenarios based on old data. So how do we take off these distorting glasses? It starts with developing what psychologists call emotional granularity, the ability to distinguish between different shades of feeling. Instead of just registering bad, you learn to differentiate between disappointed, frustrated, anxious, or sad. This granularity is crucial because it allows you to respond more appropriately to the actual situation at hand, rather than reacting to the ghosts of your past. It's like upgrading from a basic paint set to a full spectrum of colors. Suddenly, you can create a much more accurate picture of your emotional landscape. But developing this skill takes practice. One effective technique is to start labeling your emotions out loud. Instead of just feeling bad, say to yourself, "I'm feeling angry because my spouse disappointed me." This simple act of naming can help reduce the intensity of the emotion and give you more control over your response. Now let's talk about one of the most insidious aspects of triggers. They can make us feel like we're still helpless children, even when we're fully grown adults. This is because triggers often tap into our earliest, most vulnerable memories. But here's a powerful truth to remember. You are not that helpless child anymore. You have resources, skills, and support systems that you didn't have back then. When you're triggered, try to consciously remind yourself of this fact. List out the ways you're more capable now than you were in the past. This doesn't mean dismissing your feelings or forcing yourself to just get over it. Instead, it's about bringing your adult perspective to bear on the situation. It's like being both the parent and the child, comforting your inner wounded self while also drawing on your grown-up strength. Another crucial aspect of dealing with triggers is learning to regulate your nervous system. When you're triggered, your body goes into a state of hyperarousal. Your heart races, your breathing becomes shallow, and your muscles tense up. These physical reactions then feed back into your emotional state, creating a vicious cycle. Breaking this cycle requires body-based interventions. Deep breathing exercises, progressive muscle relaxation, and mindfulness practices can all help bring your nervous system back into balance. These techniques might seem simple, but they're powerful tools for emotional regulation. Now, let's address a common misconception, that healing from triggers means never getting triggered again. This isn't realistic or even desirable. Triggers are part of being human. They show us where we still have work to do. The goal isn't to eliminate triggers entirely, but to change our relationship with them. Instead of seeing triggers as enemies to be vanquished, try viewing them as messengers. They're pointing out areas of your life that need attention and healing. When you approach triggers with curiosity rather than fear, you open up new possibilities for growth and self-understanding. This shift in perspective can be liberating. Instead of feeling like a victim of your triggers, you become an active participant in your own healing journey. Each trigger becomes an opportunity to learn more about yourself and to practice new, healthier responses. But let's be real, this work isn't easy. It requires courage to face our pain, patience to unlearn old patterns, and compassion for ourselves when we stumble. It's a journey of many small steps, not a single giant leap. One powerful tool for this journey is journaling. Writing about your triggers can help you identify patterns, process emotions, and gain new insights. Try keeping a trigger diary where you record what triggered you, how you reacted, and what you think it might be connected to in your past. Another valuable practice is visualization. Imagine yourself handling a triggering situation with calm and confidence. This mental rehearsal can help rewire your brain, making it easier to respond differently when you encounter real-life triggers. So what's your next step? Maybe it's starting that trigger diary we talked about. Maybe it's practicing deep breathing when you feel yourself getting triggered. Or maybe it's reaching out to a therapist who can guide you through this process. Whatever you choose, know that you're not alone on this journey. There's a whole community of people out there working to understand and heal their triggers. By sharing our experiences and supporting each other, we can all grow stronger. If you found this video helpful, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content on emotional healing and personal growth. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What are your experiences with triggers? What techniques have you found helpful in dealing with them?